So I think what the country is wondering now is what's the next step for you, the labour unions, given the kind of anger that has engulfed you?
Yeah, look, thanks for having me. I don't think I can begin to describe how angry our members are. All that we got out of the budget yesterday is that government is blaming workers for the crisis in the state. It's not being honest with the nation to say what is the real crisis. The real crisis we are facing is a 1% economic growth rate, 40% unemployment, declining tax revenues, and of course we lose 10% of the budget of government every year to wasteful expenditure and to corruption. The only proposals we got yesterday out of the budget speech by the minister was that they're going to get that money back off the back of workers, nurses, teachers and doctors. So really we're not resolving the issue. Our members are very angry that basically on Tuesday afternoon, government went to the Public Service Bargaining Council and said they're going to walk away from the existing wage agreement for the public service. They're not going to honour it. And it's going to make it very, very difficult for unions to know that we can take government seriously as a negotiating partner, that they'll be willing to negotiate with us in good faith.
Have you had a conversation with government?
It's a slap in the face of public servants.
Have you had a conversation with government?
We've been having discussions, and then literally, not officially, no. We've had some small chats on the side, but not officially. And government has to come back to the Public Service Bargaining Council. They have to own up to their mistakes, and they have to try to rebuild that trust. And it's going to be very, very difficult. The mood amongst the members is very angry. They feel that government is not negotiating in good faith, and they're basically throwing workers under the bus with the budget.
Mr. Parks, the finance minister quoted in a press conference yesterday saying the unions and government are going to have to find each other because this is for the greater good of the country. Are you willing to be reasonable about this?
Yes. Look, I mean, as unions, we have a vested interest in the survival of the government, not only because the members' jobs and their pensions depend upon it, but because workers across the nation depend upon government for essential public services. And that is why in November last year, we went as Cosatu to the leadership of the ANC and government, and we proposed a raft of proposals on how to save the state, how to save Eskom, the SOEs, the economy, how to reform taxes, and we put significant compromises on the table. Unfortunately, the ANC leadership and the government leadership is so dysfunctional, they failed to take up that offer to engage with us meaningfully. What they did yesterday, on Tuesday, was to come and tell us, literally at 5 minutes to midnight, they're pulling out of the wage agreement. So we're ready to engage. We want to save the state. We need to save the economy, to grow jobs, to protect our pensions. But government has to own up to its mistakes, and it has to deal with corruption and wasteful expenditure. It has to show leadership. You cannot simply complain about nurses who earn peanuts, yet you have ministers who earn 20 times what a nurse earns. So government has to get real, and they have to start showing leadership and a genuine commitment to negotiate in good faith.
Yeah. Mr. Parks, on a separate issue, but it still regards your proposal on how to save government and some of the entities. Of course, we go back here to the proposal that workers' pension monies be used to bail out at least half of the Eskom debt. There's a campaign that's going around. It's called the Unpaid Benefits Campaign. And you, Cosatu, are being blamed for not doing enough to make sure that the mine workers and other workers that are affiliated to some of your unions actually get those monies. Instead, you're advocating for the very same monies or pension funds that have not been given to its beneficiaries to be used to bail out Eskom. What have you done to try and locate these workers?
Yeah, look, those campaigns and allegations wouldn't be based upon fact. We've been actually raising that issue for many, many years, going back decades now through the NUM, through Cosatu. We've been engaging with the private pension funds to retrace those mine workers. It's very difficult. Some of these unclaimed pensions are going back to the 1970s. Many of the challenge has been that many of those workers actually don't live in South Africa. They've long gone back to Mozambique, to Malawi, to Lesotho, etc. So it's been very, very difficult. We've gone above and beyond the duty. There's been public adverts. People have gone to neighboring countries to try to trace them. I know NUM itself went to Lesotho, to villages deep in the mountains, to try to find these mine workers or the families, the deceased widows, etc. It's been very difficult. But what we've said around Eskom is that Eskom is our national asset. Without Eskom, we have no economy, we have no jobs, we have no pension. We've said we must all contribute towards saving it, not only the PIC, and we're looking specifically at the interest rate that they earn, not the pension funds itself, but also government must contribute, the private sector must contribute. Everybody must contribute to saving Eskom.
Okay.
And we have to do it because if Eskom can collapse like SA is collapsing, we'll have no economy tomorrow.
Yeah. Mr. Parks, I've just got to ask you, of these unclaimed pensions or provident funds, the figures being banded there are amounts of 10 to 15 billion rand. Are these monies part and parcel of what you are proposing be given to Eskom?
Look, we're not saying we must give money to Eskom. We're saying we must invest in Eskom. We must help them to rebuild. And our investment will be based upon conditions that corruption is dealt with, that mismanagement is dealt with, that there's a clear turnaround plan, that no workers are retrenched, that Eskom is saved. But yes, we're saying we must mobilize all possible public and private financing to invest in Eskom to save it. And the amount there is significant. And right now, that unclaimed benefits is about, yes, you're right, 10 to 15 billion rand. The only ones who are benefiting from it today are the private stock market investors who are sitting off huge assets. They're making profits out of it. And we're saying now, for the first time in history, can workers' money benefit workers? And workers need Eskom to survive so they can live their lives, take care of their families, cook their food, wash their clothes, watch TV, etc. We want that money to go to benefit workers. We hope we can find those untraced mine workers. But to be honest with you, some of those benefits go back 40 to 50 years. It'll be very difficult to find everybody, especially those who have moved back to Mozambique, Malawi, etc.
All right. Matthew Parks, thank you very much for your time. He is Cosatu's parliamentary coordinator.